Krishna, welcome. I just want to talk with you about this, about the sacred cow, about is Hinduism a true religion? And I'm reading from, I don't know if, from that line, that being marked down to there, and also here where that color is, that colored one is, if you can see it. So I'll read the text to you. Let me see if I can get some light in here. Bear with me now. Bear with me now, please. Yeah, you probably just about see me. Yeah, I'll lean back a little bit. So it's from this book I'm reading. You can't see it. It's from this book. I moved it to one a bit away from the light as well, so you can see it. It's from the kingdom of knowledge. I'm sure you recognize this book. So I read the text which I'm gonna explain in detail. I'm just gonna open up so that we can also open up our hearts and minds to this. So it basically says, I'm going back a bit from what I previously read as well, and answer that question as well, because it leans in with it, if that makes sense. So it says, God is the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone, and the enjoyer of all. He becomes very peaceful. This is the actual peace formula. No one can have peace as long as he thinks I am the proprietor who is capable of claiming proprietorship. Only a few hundred years ago the native Indians were considered the proprietors of America. Today we in our turn are claiming that proprietorship. But in 400 or 1,000 years, perhaps someone else will come to claim the same. The land is here, and we come here and falsely claim ourselves to be proprietors of it. This philosophy of false proprietorship is not in line with Vedic injunctions, which is spelled VEDIC, an injunction INJUNCTIONS. So I'm trying to go back a bit at the beginning where it says God is the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone, and the enjoyer of all. He becomes very peaceful. This is the actual peace formula. So let me just read it once more again. Sorry. So it says God is the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone, and the enjoyer of all. He becomes and the enjoyer of all. He becomes very peaceful. Sorry, God is the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone, the enjoyer of all. He becomes very peaceful. This is the actual peace formula. Basically, they're saying, because I do believe from what I've read previously, they're saying how Krishna is a god, because if we're saying how Krishna is the peace formula, basically, like I said before, we need evidence of that. We need proof that Hare Krishna is God. He is God. We need documentary evidence, rock hard evidence, because you've got like other religions. You've got other religions that have been created created in the 1900s, in the 1800s, like things like in the 1700s, which is like Hare Krishna time, Hinduism time. You've got Mormonism as well. You've got Jehovah's Witness. You've got all these religions being created so later on in the century, so later on, where you've got, you know, God has been there before time, before ages, before yonks, before a long time. God was there at the beginning. So we need rock hard evidence saying that, you know, that Hare Krishna and the cows have been there, like before the Bible, before Christians, before the world began. So I read on as well. So the peace formula, no, it says as well, no one can have peace as long as he thinks I am the proprietor. No one, so it says no one can have peace as long as he thinks I am the proprietor. But if we think about this, because because proprietor means owner of business or holder of property. If a human being says that they own these things, that they own proprietorship, if they own proprietorship, which also means definition of a business that legally has no separate existence from its owner, income or losses, or taxed on the individual's personal income tax return. The sole proprietorship is the simplest business form under which one can operate a business. The sole proprietorship is not a legal entity. Basically, like it says in the Kingdom of Knowledge, it says no one can have peace as long as he thinks I am the proprietor. And no one can have peace as he thinks. Okay, let me just carry on a bit from there actually. Who was capable of claiming proprietorship? Only a few hundred years ago, the native Indians were considered the proprietors of America. Today we in our turn are claiming that proprietorship, but in 400 or a thousand years, perhaps someone else will come to claim the same. The line is here, and we come here and falsely claim ourselves to be proprietors of it. This philosophy of false proprietorship is not in line with Vedic injunctions. That's basically saying about the cow, about the cow having, about the holy cow or the cow being and having proprietorship. There needs to be documentary evidence of that. There needs to be rock hard evidence that the cow has the leadership. There needs to be significant blessing. We can't just rely on the cow to give us. We can't really give the cow that authority saying that. But hear me on this though. We can't really give the cow that authority saying that because they produce. Because they produce for humans milk, yogurt, cheese, butter and ghee. I can't recall what ghee is. We can't exactly. We can't just say that's who we need to worship. We can't really put that into context and say that's what we need to worship, because a cow only provides a certain amount for us, but in the end we have to survive on some sort of veg as well. we can't. I'm not saying we should slaughter cows, but there are vegetarians about in the world. What I'm trying to say is we can't just do that as a main thing, as a main worship, because basically I read this bit of this text online about the Vedic injunctions. Okay, it says about the sacredness of the holy cow. It says here in this verse, Lord Krishna reveals that among cows he is manifested as the Kundu, meaning human meaning of the original wish fulfilling cows, known as the Sorobiri. Two things. Then this is telling me that Krishna is not in more than one place, and for Krishna to be who he says he is, for Krishna to say who he says he is, that to manifest yourself into a cow and manifest yourself into a part human being or human being. I think that it was a blue human being. You have to correct me on this one. And say you're God as well, and manifesting yourself in a cow in two different parts. It doesn't really add up, because if you're going to manifest yourself in two different forms, there needs to be a clear definition of who you are, because every human being, we're all human beings, but every human being has to be a singular part. And if Krishna says he is God, he has to manifest himself into one part. He can't really manifest himself into many parts or two parts. He has to be in one part so that someone can recognize him, because for a human being to recognize another human being, they have to be in one part. They can't be in two or three or five. They can't be in two or three or five different parts. Yeah, it has to be in one different part, so that individual can recognize him, because it has to make sense. It has to come together. So for Krishna to be able to manifest himself into a cow and not being able to express himself apart from just giving out those vital parts, which is the where is it now? Which was the trying to find it now. Which was the milk, yogurt, cheese, butter, and ghee. And just to walk around like a cow, for Krishna to do that on and only those two parts, doesn't really add up. It has to be a singular part, because I hope you're following what I'm saying. You're probably thinking, yeah, you're not following me, but I'm explaining myself quite clearly here. But also it goes on to say that the cow is a wish-fulfilling cow. There must be rock hard evidence to say that the cow is a wish-fulfilling cow. It might back in the day, it might supply all of our needs back in the day, but it can't supply. Surely it can't supply every need. It can't supply our needs for gadgets, for us to go about communicating for us to go about our daily lives and our daily business, to be able to communicate with other human beings. So a cow has its place, but to say that it's our God, it doesn't really add up. It doesn't really add up for an animal to rule over human beings. When some animals are not conscious to be alive. Some of them are not very conscious to be alive. They're not aware of being alive. like the human beings. It's not like human beings. We're conscious. We're alive, and we're communicating with one another. We can remember from yesterday to many years back, and many years back from there. We can remember all sorts. That's the power of the human body, the power of the human spirit. So to say that a cloud needs to be above us, above human beings, it doesn't really add up. It doesn't really come together, really. So let me see if I can find anything else. And also for the, I think I'm not sure if I've said this, but I'll say again. For the wish fulfilling cow to be a wish fulfilling cow, there needs, like I said before, there needs to be rock hard evidence for the cows to be. I know in India, in India there's loads of cows in that country, but I know, but the thing is, for a wish fulfilling cow to fulfill all of our needs from birth to death, to fulfill all of our needs, there needs to be evidence. There needs to be rock hard evidence. There needs to be addresses. There needs to be proofs by witnesses of a spiritual significance and a physical significance. There has to be really two. There has to be two or more evidence. A spiritual significance in this wish fulfilling cow, and a physical significance of a wish fulfilling cow. They have to be able to predict the future, be able to do things in the future, and not predict, but just to prophesy well and get it correctly for things in the future to come to pass, to come right now, and to be a life source, a life giver. But there needs to be rock hard evidence. There needs to be solid evidence, like addresses, details dating back before human beings ever walked the planet. I'm talking like 2015 years ago and beyond that. 2015 years ago, which is the year that we're living in now. There needs to be evidence from before that saying that the wish fulfilling cow was around, and Hare Krishna, or as Lord Krishna, as someone will say, that Lord Krishna has to have been around back before 2015. So there needs to be rock hard evidence of that. There needs to be when I say rock hard evidence, there needs to be so much evidence that if I go to a library or historical building, there has to be evidence. There has to be evidence secure and locked up and be protected by guards to preserve the life of these evidence. There needs to be security guards around these buildings protecting these documentary evidence. I haven't heard of any evidence like this before from like Krishna, the wish fulfilling cow. Krishna being manifested into cows, Hare Krishna being around, or wish fulfilling cows being around way before 2015 or 2015. There hasn't been any evidence like that before. I haven't heard any evidence like that before. There needs to be rock hard evidence like that, so that I can believe in that. So there needs to be, like I said anyway. So a lot of people can claim a lot of false things. A lot of people can write many stories. People can make up any story, and because it's so nice and so appetizing to the eyes and the heart, and it touches all five senses, the eyes, the nose, the lips, the hearing, the touch, touching, so the touching, the hearing, the listening, the speaking, and the smelling, all five senses. If it for a human being, if you create something false, if it touches all five senses, then and it's really believable, then some human being or someone will eventually want to believe it and want to bring it to life. You know, you got people in this world trying to create all sorts of stuff that's from films that make believe. They're trying to bring it to life, trying to make it real, trying to make it adaptable to today's society. But in actual fact, you know, it's just false. You know, you got the Star Wars films that are coming out from left, right, and center, and people are like wearing costumes and believing in those kind of things, and it's just, you know, we have to try and sometimes we have to get a grip with what's going on in the world. We have to just basically put everything aside, you know. We have to put everything aside. Put God aside, and let's just be human. We have to just be human with this, and just put two and two together, and really think with our own human common sense, and say, is this really true? You know, we've got to sit down one day and just we have to just sit down one day on our own and just ask God, cry out to God, and without putting any title or religion in it. We have to just cry out to God, because God does exist, and because the devil uses religion to confuse people. The devil uses many religions to confuse people, and the devil does exist. And it's a case of just sitting down in a quiet place and just asking God to reveal Himself to us, because God does exist. But we have to give it time. We have to be patient and give God the time to come in our lives. We have to give it time, and we have to be patient and just keep asking and ask God to show Himself to us. I'm not asking you to choose a religion. I'm not asking you to leave Hinduism. I'm just asking you just to put everything aside, put every religion aside, and faith aside, and just ask God to reveal Himself to you, and don't label it as any kind of religion. Just ask, and I'm sure God will come to your aid in due time if you're patient. You have to be patient, though. That's the only thing. You have to be patient with God. So yeah. So I mean, I hope I've made sense with what I've said throughout the over 20 minutes I've been speaking, and I hope it's made me think about things, and made you really think through it as well, and not just believing in anything, you know, just anything that comes your way. It's a case of just, you know, just getting understanding, really, and being open-minded, really, not being fixed on one thing, not hardening our hearts, or being, yeah. So okay, yeah, so that's all I have to say, really. And so I will talk with you guys and ladies soon. And so bye for now, and Hare Krishna. Take care. Safe journeys if you're not at home.